Hi guys and girls, RyzorGick here with a rather badly sounding voice, and I apologize for that, but I am rather ill. However, I wanted to make sure I uploaded something and not do it and then end up not uploading for ages again like I've done many times before. So to make things easy today, we're just doing a top 10. How much still simple can you get with that? And I'm probably going to do a series of these because I am someone who likes to make lists of my favourite games for each generation. And so to start off, we're going to do PS4. However, I will say this list obviously can be updated because we've still got games coming out for PS4 before it becomes obsolete for the PS5, which is on the horizon though. So this list is not concrete because obviously more games could come out, but these games are on my top 10 list, obviously my favourites, so it would take a lot to at least knock the top one off. So that at least. Again, apologies for my voice, but I have got pretty bad flu at the minute. But like I said, I really wanted to get something out on YouTube so I don't fall off the train of getting stuff uploaded. So without further ado, let's start this list. Now our first thing on the list is going to be something that gives me some sort of indie points, I guess, because it's Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. In some ways I felt like Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice was made for me. It's got Vikings, it's got some sort of demonic entities in it, it's got some combat, a lot of puzzles, and very heavy story based. Plus it deals with a character who has some form of mental illness. It's never really gone into what it is, but basically she hears voices which can put her down and basically tell her she's worthless. And as someone who's been through very similar things, it was quite nice to see in the game, that's one way of saying it. So I do recommend if you play this, you wear headphones. But beyond that, it was just a really well put together game. It was a lower budget game, but looked like a AAA game, and it did what it had to do. It didn't linger too long and make you feel like it was drawn out. I enjoyed every single minute of it, and despite the slight controversy where the game kind of lied to you and said that the curse she had on her body would grow with every death you had, and eventually you would lose the game, you would die and have to start from the beginning. I believe it was confirmed that that is actually a lie and it doesn't happen at all. But I'll tell you what it did do, it put me on edge throughout the whole game. I was constantly worried that maybe, just slightly, that could be true. I didn't think it was true, because why would you do that to a game? But that just slight nagging doubt kept me on edge for the entire game, making every combat encounter just that bit more tense. And for that, I have to applaud them. Senua's Sacrifice is one of the best mid-tier games we've had in such a long time, and well, that's why it's on this list. From one heavy story game to another, we have God of War, the reboot. No, it's a sequel, isn't it? I remember a lot of people saying it was a reboot before it came out, but it's actually a sequel. I know a lot of people didn't like this game because of how different it was, at least the character was different. But I gotta say, it was one of the best, at least PS4 exclusives that I played this generation. I'll admit I wasn't sure about God of War when it was announced, as just how different it seemed. We all worried that the boy was going to make the game the entire escort quest, and we thought that the change in tone was very off for a God of War game. Personally speaking, the fact that it was set in Nordic mythology was a selling point straight away for me anyway. And then it turned out when we played the game, no, that all the changes that have been made were sort of justified. There's a reason why Kratos is now not this just bulk of violence that's running around killing everything in his way, although he does do that eventually in this game anyway. And Atreus himself was very useful in combat. He never felt like an escort quest. So I think any sort of worries we had were completely unfathomed. I mean, okay, maybe it's not the same level, the change of camera was a bit much to get used to at the beginning, but eventually it worked out. When you got used to seeing those little red markers telling where enemies were on the screen, it became, second nature eventually. So yeah, God of War, whatever year it came out, was great. The only downside was that they just called it God of War. They should have had a subtitle. I mean, come on, you had God of War Ascension. What was it? Oh well, it doesn't matter. God of War's good. So I'm a big Souls fan. Dark Souls, Demon Souls, the whole lot. That's why I'm really looking forward to the PS5, the Demon Souls remake. But I'm also one of those people that, despite loves the Dark Souls series, I also like most things that sort of try to emulate it as well. I don't get annoyed when someone tries to copy its success, which is why at number 8 now, aren't we? Yeah, is Code Vein. So yeah, I'm a big fan of Dark Souls. I'm also a big fan of anime. So anime Dark Souls, yeah, you sold me on that. And
if I'm going to be honest, the main reason this is on this list is the fact that the freaking character customization was just so amazing. The amount of detail, of options and changes you can make to your character was kind of mind-blowing for a AAA game these days. I've really not seen something like this since Saints Row 2 in sort of levels of customization. And then when you get into the game, it's what you want. It's a Souls-like that's not just a Souls-like. It has its own stuff. It adds more than just what it's copying. And I did not have a bad time playing it. I mean, it does become fairly easy on New Game Plus, I would admit, especially if you go for like straight tanky builds like I tend to anyway. So it's my fault for making it too easy. But yeah, I kind of hope the studio brings out another game similar, like when we get Code Vein 2, who knows. But yeah, I loved it, and also I think my character was fabulous. So.
At number 7 we have Nier Automata, the sequel to one of my favourite games of all time. Now, I thought when Nier first came out, the original Nier, most people didn't like it or didn't hear of it, but it seems that at least over time, maybe since Automata came out, more and more people liked it. But yeah, I mean, I liked Nier so much, I convinced my girlfriend to let me name my firstborn son after it.
So what you like about Platinum Games, they know how to make a bloody good combat system. Nier Automata's story may be hard to get into and even fully understand once you have finished it, but the combat alone will keep you going throughout the sort of confusing parts. As I said, I'm a big fan of the original Nier, so when Nier Automata was announced, I was kind of like, this doesn't look like a sequel, and because it kind of isn't. But that's not enough to persuade me. So there's an upcoming remaster of the original Nier, which I'll definitely be playing, and I kind of hope they make the combat from Nier Automata be what's going to be the remaster of Nier, or Nier Replicant version 2 point whatever it's going to be now, because that is the one thing it did better than the original, was the combat. It was a lot more like Bayonetta, like the the combos that flow into one another, the switching between weapons, and just look at it. Look how flowy and amazing the combat is. And despite the story being confusing, I really liked it. I love when games have multiple endings, and the amount there is in this game, let me tell you, there are quite a few. Basically, I think it's 36, isn't it? Something like that. Anyway. Yeah, prepare to get lost in a world where there's androids fighting robots, and yeah, there are differences between the two. There's some weird naked guys being birthed out of an alien ship. There's a random android running around who's a bad android for some reason, but maybe she's actually a good android. There's a bullet hell hacking minigame when you play as the weird little boy-looking guy. There's this weird thing where the blindfolds come off whenever they see something for the first time, like, oh, my realization has happened, so let's take the blindfold off. I'm rambling now, but please trust me, Nier Automata is a good game. If you haven't played it, play it. Just play it. It's a good game.
And number 6 of a game that takes no introduction because it's known by everyone and loved by many. It is CD Projekt Red's The Witcher 3.
I played very little of The Witcher 1 and 2 before 3 came out, mainly because it was mouse and keyboard only, and I'm just not really into that. Yeah, I'm a scrub. Console scrub. But anyway, Witcher 3 was just such an in-depth game. Like, the game world, maybe not as big as other game worlds, but it just felt so full of life and energy. There was no grindy, side quests of like, collect these things around the map. I'm looking at you, Ubisoft there, which isn't always bad, but The Witcher 3 just showed you how it was done properly. The combat maybe was a bit clunky, like the whole one sword for monsters and one sword for humans, but like I said, with other games you get used to these sort of weird rules after a while. The one moment that sticks out for me though with The Witcher 3 was that moment where you went to the tavern to hear Dandelion's friend perform, and it's the song about Geralt and Yennefer, who you're looking for in the game, and it was just a moment where I put the controller and just took in what was happening, and I just felt connected to the game world. I felt like I was lost in it, and it's always definitely impacted me in this game. Like, really hope that CD Projekt Red makes a sequel, another game. I know the ending kind of left it as an ending, like that was it, but I'm sure that we can think of something else to bring it back. And because of this, I'm also looking forward to the next game, like the Cyberpunk. I think if they can bring to fantasy what they did with The Witcher 3, they can do that to sci-fi, then it'd be amazing. But yeah, Witcher 3 is great. If you haven't played it already, seriously do, because yeah, it's one of the best open world fantasy games we've had since probably Skyrim.
At number 5 we maybe have a controversial pick, but for me this game, despite being slow paced and somewhat say boring, story was enough to just entrap me and made me want to see what happened at the end. And people say the emotional beats of the game are kind of off, but no, sorry, maybe I'm just a sucker for these things, but I am one person that can be made to cry quite easily with films and things like that. So for me, number 5 is Death Stranding, with this lovely Higgs variant cover that I got for ordering it from Amazon. Yeah, it was called a Higgs variant, but it was just this cover. People were disappointed by that as well, but it's shiny and, well, I like it.
Let's get this out of the way. Yes, it's mostly walking. Yes, it's tedious. And yes, I know that's the point. And I'm one of the people that can accept that. I'm one of the people that can play those sort of jobs, games like you're trusting them and get lost in sort of mundane, repetitiveness tasks. And beyond that, I really do think the game's story was worth sticking around to. I know it's down to personal taste when you look through it, and also I know a lot of people that feel that Kojima can't write drama. I mean, entirely your opinion, but I'm an easy mark for these sort of films and games that try and make you sad, I will admit that. But spoiler warning, that moment with the character called Mama, when you have to basically sever the connection, the only connection you have with her dead child, that did get to me. I mean, you could say maybe because I'd recently become a parent myself, or maybe I was just feeling a bit emotional at that time anyway, but yeah, it really did impact me. And even the ending, I mean, to me, that did, that got to me, it really did. Death Stranding, I think, probably since Metal Gear 3 is Kojima's best work. Yeah, I will play it again. That's the thing. It's the most tedious game because of the walking. I'll admit that it is. It's supposed to be tedious, and I understand that's not enough for enough people to an excuse. But despite the big tediousness, I will play it again. I know I will, because I just stream it up for it, and that feeling you do of accomplishment just from making a delivery, for me, it worked, and it didn't make me pay microtransactions to get more deliveries. Yeah, if I can feel accomplishment without having to pay extra money for a game I've already paid for, I'm gonna do it. Death Stranding, you may be a joke to some, but to me, it's beautiful.
Alright, so number 4 spot was hard to choose. So it was going to be between this or the other one in the series on this console, but yes, it is the Resident Evil 2 remake. So it was either going to be this or Resident Evil 7, which I did enjoy a lot. However, what clinched it for me was Resident Evil 2 was a lot more horror than Resident Evil 7, mainly because in Resident Evil 7 those they're like mold monsters, they just weren't as scary to me as say Mr. X or any of the standard zombies or in Resident Evil 2. So yeah, it wins for being scary.
Once again, I never played the original version when it first came out on PS1. I was more of a Silent Hill person than a Resident Evil until Resident Evil 4 came out, which changed my mind. So yeah, I was looking forward to playing this Resident Evil 2 remake just based on the fact that I didn't play the original version, and it was using the Resident Evil 7 engine, which was really cool. But I was happy it went back to the third-person camera because I think I do prefer that to the first person. But yeah, basically Resident Evil 2 remake was I think it might actually be my favourite Resident Evil game now. It used to be 4, but unlike 4, which had the sort of goofy campiness that sort of unbalanced scares, Resident Evil 2 for me made zombies scary again. Obviously Mr. X is daunting as hell, but the actual, just the main zombies that have the ability to grab you and take huge chunks of your health, it does make it back to the whole survival horror thing. It's just a great system. I mean, to this point, zombies have been done so many times now that I think most of us were getting bored of them. So for a game to make them scary again, then applause for you. I will say, however, it did feel kind of short. I mean, now that we had 3, we know how short Resident Evil game can be, but even so, I think once you've played through your first story, either as Leon or Claire, wait, is it Claire? Yeah, it's Claire, isn't it? Yeah, it's Claire, right? Or is it Jill? Either way, once you played through the first time, because a lot of the story overlaps, the bits that you have done already do kind of sort of feel like you should be rushing past them and get to the new stuff you haven't seen. So yeah, it's not the longest game, but then again, it's based off PS4 Games, so you know. But yeah, I think yeah, Resident Evil 2 was probably the best horror game I played on the old PS4, and it's stuck with me to this day. Like I said, it is kind of short, but I probably will end up playing it again around when Halloween comes around, because you know, gotta get those scares. Also, Wesker's a creepy weirdo. I've seen those photos.
And number 3, we have the updated version of Persona 5, Persona 5 Royal, a game that I had to just get. I loved 5 so much that when 5 Royal was announced, I actually bought that box, the big box. I'll show you the lovely big box version of Royal, which came with some great stuff, a hardback art book, the mask, everything like that. I love it.
Persona 5 was a fairly long game. Like, I do remember feeling at one point while playing the original version, and I was like, should this be ending soon? And then it just kept going. I mean, it wasn't bad that it kept going. I was enjoying it, but I just couldn't believe how long it was. So when Persona 5 Royal was announced, which added even more stuff, and I was still willing to play through the stuff I'd already seen again, I think that says quite a lot about it. I mean, it's so well written, all the characters are kind of likeable to some degree. Your character is the usual side protagonist, so it's kind of hard to have much feeling of him actually, despite you controlling him more about the other characters. And the levels of managing this game, I think in most Persona games, I've only played 4 and 5, so I can't really be sure about the rest of them, but the fact that it's, if you don't know, it's half RPG, and the other half is kind of like a school like a life simulator where you choose what to do each day and upgrade your stats and stuff. And I can get so lost in that, trying to get the perfect marks on the tests and to get all my stats to maximum before the ending comes around. It's a game that's so easy to get lost in. The combat also is really fun. Obviously, you have abilities like spells and stuff, but it's all linked to the personas the characters have. Obviously, as the main character, you can switch out personas, which you kind of have to do regularly. The Royal Edition itself, the editions were added another character to the roster of characters you can actually use. It made some of the story elements a bit more, gave more better endings to the stories and subplots, and it also added the hidden will seeds in each of the dungeons of the game. And it added enough that I was constantly wondering, is this new or was this before? So I was enjoying it. I mean, like I said, it's a long game. I had to play for the whole thing again just to see the extra stuff, but it was well worth it. I didn't miss, didn't feel cheated at all. Yeah, Persona 5 Royal, I think one of the best RPGs of this generation. If you haven't played it yet, definitely check it out. But if you want, it is turn-based. And if like me, you are kind of going off that these days, I mean, again, it's Pokemon and so many games I can kind of play that turn-based these days. Yeah, if you want, it is turn-based, but I think it's one of the better turn-based.
After what I said about loving Dark Souls, probably guessed this was coming at some point, but number 2 for me is Dark Souls 3. I appreciate this over Bloodborne because despite them both being very different, like Bloodborne is all about fast-paced and hitting back to get your energy back, while Dark Souls 3 is a bit more methodical in its system. I just preferred that, and also I think Bloodborne is the only game that actually made me angry enough to want to break something. So although I did return to it later on to actually finish it in a calm manner, yeah, I don't think Dark Souls 3 could be anywhere else but on this list.
So yeah, Dark Souls 3. I didn't like 2 very much, and 1 was amazing. And to be honest, I could have put the remaster on this list, I realise that, but I kind of saving that for another list, spoiler alert. Yeah, Dark Souls 3, I think was way better than 2, because 2, to be honest, really freaking annoyed me. I mean, Shrine of Amana, it was just... It's that area, I mean, I'm never probably going to play with 2 again. Yeah, 3, it added enough new without, being too different from the standalone formula. Obviously we had a magic bar now, which I'll be honest, I didn't really use much, so I stuck to the sort of tanky builds I was used to. The game did kind of round off the series in a very cool way. I did like, also with the DLC actually, what was it, the Ring City, wasn't it? Yeah. I think that last fight as well, the one against Gale, was amazing fight to end off on. I do obviously hope there is more coming. I do hope there is more Dark Souls, but if not nothing else, but Dark Souls 3 was a great send-off to the series. It had your usual dragons, knights and stuff we all like, and I'm rambling just because I can't really say how much I love this game. Dark Souls to me has been a fantastic series. Like I said, 2 to me was a bit of a letdown, but I can't say I hate 2. It's just, mana was just such an arse mana. That's not funny, I know. But yeah, Dark Souls 3. If you like hard games that basically make you want to throw your controller at the wall every time you die, and you know, it's a big steep learning curve, but it's worth the payoff, and what do I know about? You know this already. Dark Souls 3 is good. It's hard, but it's good. It makes you want to kill yourself, but it's good. Dark Souls 3 is a good game. Praise the sun.
Okay, so now that I think about it, I'm not sure if many people are going to agree with my choice for number 1 for best PS4 game. So, to delay that for as long as we can, here is some honourable mentions of games that didn't quite make into this list. On real special note though would be the Catherine full body version, which Catherine was a game I absolutely loved, and then I was really always annoyed that I missed the chance to get the special edition of the PS3 version. So when full body came out, I made sure I grabbed the special edition of that one as well. Just wanted to brag about my special editions really. But yes, so at number 1 is the game that I thought was the best PS4 title of all time. A game that when it came out was kind of unfinished, but there was DLC planned and free updates to make it better. I'm not making excuses, that's just how it was. But I played it all the way through to the end to platinum it. I am a bit of a trophy whore, by the way, so you know, platinums means something to me. So I played the game through once, the updates came out, the DLC came out, I played it through from the beginning again. I didn't just do the DLC, which I could have because they were standalone. And then recently I ended up playing it again because I love the game so much. I'm not sure anyone's going to agree with me with the best PS4 game of all time. For me it is Final Fantasy 15.
So yeah, Final Fantasy 15 is my pick for best PS4 game. I mean, a lot of people won't, agree with that at all, but to me, I think I've said this a lot on this list, but if I can get lost in the game's world and just sort of become part of it, I care to the point that I care about the characters that as if they were people I knew in real life. I have investment personally in what's going on. I consider that a triumph for the game, and no game did that on PS4 like Final Fantasy 15 did. Like I said, I played through the game again when the DLC fully came out, just so I could experience it properly, and I don't regret it. I'm replaying it again now, and I'm already lost in it. I've got sunken into the open world. I'm doing side quests, and even though I know what's coming now, I still just can't wait to see it all again. I think it has one of the most heartbreaking moments in the game, which Final Fantasy 15 games. I think the game is beautiful, especially during combat moments. I think combat. I know a lot of people didn't like the fact that it's gone from the turn-based combat to this real-time combat, but I prefer it. I do think it's better, which is why I was happy when the Final Fantasy 7 remake also used it. I mean, they gave you the option, but you could use it. Well, also the reason 7 isn't on the 7 remake isn't on this list is mainly because it's just part 1 of it. I don't think I could happily put it on there without seeing what the rest of it goes. Also, 15 is better, in my opinion, than 7. Yeah, I said it. Yeah, most games take you on a journey. This one really does. It's a road trip across the fantasy world that has full of adventure, sadness, and just surprises waiting for you. And if you haven't played Final Fantasy 15, please check it out. It's one of the best JRPGs we've had ever, in my opinion. You may disagree with me, but you're never going to change the fact that Final Fantasy 15 for me is the best PS4 game. So there you have it. There's my top 10 games on PS4. I plan to do a series of these, so I'll do PS3, PS2, PS1, and other consoles as well. The PlayStation is my home console, so to speak. Let me know what your picks would be. I honestly don't expect you to agree with many of mine, especially where they are on the list, but I'd like to know what you think is the best PS4 game of all time and why. So please do a comment, leave a like, share if you want. It would be very much appreciated. Until next time, guys.